Welcome to today's Appy Hour. We have Method with us, and we're going to be talking with them, and they're going to be sharing some tips on how to improve our CRM. And that's where we're really going to get started, is we're going to be talking about what are you doing for our CRM, and
for those of us that are acronym challenged, I think we need to say what CRM means, and it means customer relationship management. So I actually was on a call with a client earlier, and she's on this call, so she's going to laugh at me and probably send me a funny Slack later. But she used an acronym, and I'm like, and I have no idea what it meant.
Oh. Well,
I had to go look it up later.
Okay, I was about to say, well, did you figure out what it meant?
And she's laughing. I'm sure she's laughing really, really loud though.
Well, I mean, it's a really good point, because we throw those acronyms out there and they are useless and meaningless if we don't know exactly what they mean. So very, very good point. And, I think that 2020 was a big wake up call to how do we relate to our clients? How do we work with our clients in this virtual world? And I'm sure a lot of you are experiencing the same thing. Our clients are very, very comfortable with doing more Zooms and having more virtual meetings. But, some of the things that we need to do to make sure that we're having these good customer relationships are really important. And some of that is just, how do you onboard these people?
Definitely.
So that's going to be our conversation today. Heather, do you want to introduce who you are?
I will introduce who I am. So I'm Heather Satterley, and I am the owner of Satterley Training Consulting and Satterley Accounting Services. And so I focus on helping people to embrace, learn, and adopt accounting technology. So I am primarily QuickBooks online focused, and I use a bunch of different applications in my day-to-day life that work with QuickBooks. Which is one of the reasons I love Method CRM so much, because they have like the best QuickBooks integration for CRM that's out there. So that's me. I live in Rhode Island. It was snowing a while ago. I'm in my basement, so I don't know if it's still snowing, but I'm super happy to be with you guys today.
Well, so I'm in Oklahoma, and right now it's just freezing. So yesterday we got some drizzly ice. I think tomorrow we're supposed to get some too, but I'm happy to be warm and toasty in my office as well. And so being based in Oklahoma, we have a firm that works with clients that are using QuickBooks and then all of the ecosystem that relates to QuickBooks. And so we are definitely very tech reliant and centric. So, anytime that we can work with apps that do multiple things or have some features that can be customized, that makes us really happy, because our clients mostly have the same things going on, but they always do it just slightly different. So it's nice to be able to have some customization options. We have special guests today, and I want to make sure that they get introduced now, so that way whenever you're seeing any messages come across our chat, which we always encourage you to chat, because it gives us a chance to hear about what's going on, and you have questions. So we have people here today from Method that are going to be teaching us about how to use the CRM, and then also answering any questions that we have. So Nelson, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I'm Nelson. I'm the Director of Sales and Professional Services at Method CRM. We're first and foremost, that customer relationship management system that Heather spoke a little bit about earlier. But we're also a no-code platform, which supports all types of businesses, from accounting, small, medium businesses, with all their business processes, whether it's in the front office or back office accounting. I'm also looking for tips on how to speak Polish better. So if anyone in the crowd knows how to speak Polish, please send me a message, because I would appreciate that. And my wife would as well. So Elish, how about you?
Yeah, hey everyone, I'm Elish McCann. I'm the Content Marketing Manager here at Method. I'm super excited to be on the Appy Hour. I've been following Liz and Heather for quite some time. So really proud to be on an episode with all of you guys today.
Well, we are thrilled that you're here. We are super, super excited because I would say that there's a lot of people on this call that have probably dabbled in Method and maybe looked at some of the original platforms. And so they're going to be wowed with the new way to move around. I mean, it's not really new anymore, but if you dabbled in Method, I don't know, years ago, 7 years ago, man, it looks so different now. So
It does look different.
It does. And I'm excited to make sure that everybody sees it.
Somebody just called out that it's not snowing behind me. No, I am.
It's definitely not snowing.
Yeah, it's more of like, it would be nice to be there type of background.
So we want to make sure that we say thank you to Method for being our sponsor for today's episode. And like I was talking about earlier, being able to have a lot of ability to customize the features and settings, they're going to be showing us some of that today. So most customizable QuickBooks CRM. That's a pretty cool statement to be able to make. And that means you're really listening to what it is that we need and responding to it. So we want to make sure we say thank you. And then also I want to say thank you to our Champagne level sponsorship. So ADP is our 2021, which is still crazy to say, our 2021 Champagne level sponsor. And so we want to make sure that we say thank you to them because they make all of Happy Hour for the entire year possible.
Yes, huge thank you.
So this is where we're going to begin, is where do we manage leads? How do we manage these leads? What is it that we do? And then we're going to do a coolest thing this month. And then we're going to talk about some of our episodes coming up. But the place to begin is right now, I would say this is the time of year where our phones are ringing and will continue to ring probably up until about March with people who are wanting to connect with you, maybe wanting to improve some of those processes. And the biggest thing is making sure that you're capturing all of those. Because if you're really, really busy, you are losing dollars. How much? I mean, you don't even know if you're not able to respond.
So true. It's so true. And, a lot of people are reaching out to us, not just via the telephone, which I rarely do I get a telephone call in my office. Most of the time people are reaching out via email, they're reaching out via my website, they're reaching out via social media. And so it's important to get back to people. And, it's interesting, even on Facebook, when people respond to your business page, it actually tells them how long it takes you to get back to your average inquiry. And that says a lot about you. So, making sure that you have a way to be responsive to those potential clients is so important for the growth of your business. Well, not only for the growth of your business, but also for the reputation of your business, right? Because when people are looking for accountants, they're looking for people that are going to be proactive and responsive to their needs. And if you're not getting back to them when they first contact you as a lead, that's not sending a very good message to them.
I agree. And so I'm putting inside of chat right now because I'm just curious, like how many people are getting leads through phone and how many are getting leads through website or some type of other virtual connection. So I'm just kind of curious. I agree with you. One of the things that you said is that most of your leads are not coming in through the phone. And
right.
I kind of actually hate leads coming in through the phone because I'm usually tied up in something that I'm doing at the moment. So I'm task driven, like many of you. And it's hard to stop and answer that phone if I'm very much in the middle of a task. So
100%.
Yep, I agree.
And the other thing I would just say is data, right? Like it's important to know where your leads are coming from, who's referring business to you, right? Melissa was it Melissa? No, it wasn't Melissa. I have to scroll up. It was Miriam said that most of her leads come in via word of mouth. I bet, Miriam, you're really interested to know who's sending those leads to you. And that's valuable information because you want to make sure that you take really good care of those clients so that they refer more people to you. And, we've got Melissa saying it comes in from her website or her Find a Pro Advisor. You know, lots of people are getting tons from Pro Advisor. Jean's a Pro Advisor. Jean's saying Instagram. So that's a social media channel that I haven't even dipped my toe in really.
So I agree with that. That's interesting. Instagram, but that's where our clients are at. And so
Right.
we're in the process right now of kind of beefing some of that up because, you know, we're sometimes on Twitter and we're sometimes on Facebook, but our clients are really, really focusing on Instagram because it has beautiful pictures. It's a way to quickly scroll and see different advertisements. So Instagram, I would say, is a hot place for accounting firms and bookkeeping firms to be advertising. So I'm wondering, do many of you do anything to thank the place that your leads came from? Like, are you sending them any type of thank you email or thank you gift of any kind to just kind of make sure, like you said, you respond to where those leads are coming from?
Are you asking me, Liz?
Yeah, and also that our people that are here, so our peers.
Yeah,
what
I
are you
think
doing?
that's a really good practice. I mean, I don't send out a gift for each lead that I get as a referral from a client. I do send all of my clients gifts at the end of the year, just as a big thank you, but I'm not in the habit, and that's something I probably should consider because I mean, I do give them a verbal thank you, you know, and when it's not a pandemic, I give them a hearty handshake, but
Already handshake.
but
You have to
you know,
rethink that. Those are done now.
gifts.
So, you know, one of the things that we started doing was doing just a simple gift card, you know, Starbucks or something like that. And all it is just thank you for thinking of us.
I love that.
It's an easy thing to do. And so at this point, you know, everybody hopefully has a Starbucks in their neighborhood. And we're just giving them either a little gift card, or did you know that you can actually gift somebody the coffee of the month, the featured coffees? So you can go and scroll to see which latte is the big one or whatever it is, and you can actually send out a thank you, and it can be that new cup of Joe that's at Starbucks.
Well, can I ask a question, Liz? Are you tracking who you send those to? How do you track? Because I think that's important too. Like, who have you sent gift cards to?
So
right?
No. So we have part of it in place, but not all of it. And I think that that's the biggest thing. It's like, okay, all right, I'm going to go ahead and flip over to this because this is so relevant to what you just said.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, keeping track of it all. So making sure that you're managing where did the leads come from and how are you responding to them? And then also not just where did they come from, but managing those leads. Yes. So Michael, yes, you sent over really nicely to me. So I wanted to make sure that I said thank you. And also you're a dear friend. So I wanted to make sure that you were taken care of. But I think that this speaks true to a lot of us. You know, maybe it's not even the phone that you're manning, but it's all of the emails and, you know, all of the different methods that those leads come in, making sure that you're tracking which one is your best lead generator. And, you know, do you have a way to tag where those leads are coming from? I saw a lot of people saying that the Pro Advisor channel is where they're getting a lot of their leads. And that probably needs to be documented somewhere, because that maybe means that you need to pay attention to your Pro Advisor account and do things to make sure that it's refreshed, make sure that it's up to date with your current offerings. I know maybe last year or so they came out and they said, do you offer a free consultation? And even that was a big lead generator for some people.
Yeah, and I definitely think that keeping track of the, you know, the conversations and the contacts that you're having with these leads can give you a lot of really valuable information too. So having it tracked in one place and be able to look at your entire client base and what leads were actually converted to clients gives you really valuable data telling you, you know, like you said, where to focus your marketing dollars, but also how did you treat that lead? right? So did you call them, every 2 days? Did you bombard them with phone calls and they ran for the hills? Watching the behaviors of how you're interacting with your customers and be able to go back and look at that, I think is really valuable too when you're looking to master customer relationship management.
Absolutely. Yep, I agree with that 100%. And this next thing right here, so this is really, really true. So being on the same page, oh my gosh. So this has happened before, that we had a client reach out to us, and especially because of the Pro Advisor account profiles, they reached out to us and they said to me, hey, these are the issues that I'm having. These are the needs that I have. And I gave them a quote, and then they contacted somebody else who also had a Pro Advisor profile. And then, if we hadn't have collaborated, we could have given them 2 different prices. And I think that there might've been a couple of times that we, just didn't have a good place in the beginning to park some of that. And, it confuses the clients if they don't realize they've already talked to somebody who's from your team. It's really easy to, even on our quotes, we try to make them standard, but if they say something to one person that they don't say to the other person, well, that's going to change that quote. So making sure that not only are you on the same page with your client, but also being on the same page with the team to make sure that we're giving a cohesive message to that potential lead.
Definitely. Yeah, and I definitely, and like you said, not all leads are good leads, right? So if you're spending time on leads that aren't truly qualified or aren't, what you're focusing on your business, you can actually waste a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of firm resources chasing something that isn't good for your firm.
Agreed. Yep. So, I'm going to show what we do in order to track some of our leads and manage just the tasks of it. Because if you think about all of the tasks that are associated with onboarding a client and then also managing those leads, there's quite a few things that are part of that. And the biggest problem that I think a lot of us have is being able to put it in one place. So I'm going to share what I'm doing, and I'll be candid about where our holes are in our current processes. So if I look over here, and I'm talking about, when somebody reaches out to us, what do we say back? Well, we go ahead and we tell them, thank you for reaching out to us. So we have templates that are saved directly inside of Gmail. And that way I can say, here's my calendar link, go schedule some times. Because one of the things that's, a time drain is if you have to go and say, here's the available times, and pick which one works for you. And then they come back and they say, none of those work for me. Here's my time availability. That is something that you can avoid. So we have them go automatically to the calendar link, and that way they can pick out a time that works for them. So if a lead comes in, there's a canned email that goes out directly to them to let them know, hey, we got your initial contact. Thank you for reaching out. And now let's have a meeting so we can talk about whatever the needs are.
What I love about this so much, Liz, is that anybody can do this in their email client. Almost every email provider out there has the ability to create canned emails, and taking, an afternoon to set up the emails that you're sending over and over again, like how to add me as an accountant user, how to send me a QuickBooks accountant's copy and desktop. Those are things that you can type out once and save as a template. And then all you got to do is use that template over and over again. And you're going to save yourself about 10 minutes each time. It's like finding gold, right?
Agreed. And I would even say amongst your teams, I would have all of the same canned emails. So you can share those out so that way everybody's got the same thing going on, because that's also an inconsistency.
Definitely.
So what happens if we have a lead that then turns into a client onboarding? Well, then we have the same thing. So we have a canned email that goes out and it says, welcome. So what do you do to get started? And then we walk them through in this email template that goes out, some steps in order for them to help with the onboarding process. So we have that click here, and that sends them over into a Google form. And here's some screenshots of what our Google form looks like. And we're able to say, what is it that you reached out to us initially for? But then we also are able to say, are you interested in any of these other services? So we do put our other services on that Google form. And then we get from them, what is the legal business name, the doing business as, and then also any type of contact information. And then the one that's not showing here is we also have a section that says what documents are required for onboarding. So we can say we want to make sure that if they're merging from a different payroll provider or they're doing other things, there's some required documents there. And so they can attach all of those documents inside of that Google form and they're uploaded. All of this is great, but like I said, I was going to share with you where are our holes in this process. And I'm going to
Liz, can I just chime in for a minute?
yeah.
For those of you that are using Microsoft and you're going, I don't have a Google account, you can actually use Microsoft Forms and do the same thing. So just a little, yeah.
That's a great call out because I just assume that everybody's in Gmail, but they're not, right?
Nope. Just like we're not all PC girls.
Right.
Yeah. I was talking to Nelson when we first got on the call because the first background, virtual background that I picked was actually 2 Mac computers behind me. And I told him that I couldn't use that one because it was a Mac and not a PC. And I said, I'm a PC girl. So no Mac.
Yeah. Well,
Totally.
I mean, I'm a big Google user just because it's so, you can just integrate with so many things, but that's even true with our clients. So being able to meet them with whatever email platform, if you're doing things to manage their activities, is really, really hypercritical. But
Definitely.
I'm going to share with you, I like our onboarding process. I like our templates that we use. I like all of that, except for a couple of things. So being able to manage those notifications. If we have somebody who's gone through and they did all the things that they needed to do and they filled out our forms, where do all of those attachments go? And so somebody has to go and gather all of those attachments because it doesn't live inside of our shared documents place. And so they have to be moved. And then also who manages that notification that comes in? And is it being managed? So say that you have a client that didn't send you everything, or maybe they didn't send you anything at all. And you've got to send them a reminder, hey, this is your first steps, go do it. Well, there's nobody managing this because it's not all in one place. Then how do you make sure that everything is getting done? And that can be a real stumbling block because if you're trying to onboard somebody, there's a lot of steps involved in that. And if you're constantly, behind the curveball because you're not getting those notifications, then you're not properly onboarding that person. And then they're not going to be pushed to the next step, which is going to be the actual doing of the work. So the timeline is going to get pushed out.
Definitely.
So I would even say, Nelson, do you have any thoughts about this whole scenario that we were talking through?
Yeah, I mean, you guys touched on so many great points and really talks to the difficulty of trying to help customers when they need it, where they need it, and then keeping all that centralized and organized. And these are challenges that every type of business deals with, whether you're a sole proprietor, whether you run a small firm, or even if you have a small or medium business, you're running into these challenges. And really streamlining it into a single system, whether it's through tools like CRM, whether it's through tools like Zapier that all centralize information. You can really use a combination of these technologies to just make your life a lot easier. I'm a little bit biased. I personally love Method. I've worked here for about 8 years, I think. So I'm a little bit close to it, but I'll take you through some of those workflows on my end, and you feel free to interject, or if you guys have any commentary, feel free to do that.
Well, I'm glad that you're here. And so I want to do our drink toast. So let's do our drink toast. I wanted to have a good conversation. So I stopped sharing my screen for just a second, but
We're seeing QuickBooks.
Oh, that's me. I'm sorry. I
Oh,
hijacked the
oh, no
presentation.
well, I was probably
Sorry.
misleading whenever you're
Yeah.
fine. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to share my screen so that way we can do the drink toast. So if you want to stop sharing for just a second, I want to make sure that everybody knows what drink we're having today because I am enjoying it. Yep, I've already started on it. All right, so this is, my favorite part because we're going to have this demo of a better way. And it feels very fitting to say, hey, let's have a drink to celebrate that. And I love mules. So whenever I saw that you picked a mule to be your drink, I got really excited. And this is a good one too. Ginger beer is also one of my favorites. So, mules and ginger beer, you just had me at the beginning of this drink. And yes, I do love it. So yes, I have been drinking it and I probably will get a refill. So cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, so I'm going to pass it back to you and I won't.
You as in me?
Yes, you. Yes, Nelson.
Great.
So
Ready for duty.
Take over from here.
All right.
Yay.
So yeah, we covered a few topics there. I think I want to just rehash something Heather mentioned earlier on about acronyms and CRM. I think CRM is one of those things that often you'll find either yourself or your clients, you have that feeling of, I need a CRM, but I don't know where to start. Everyone tells me I need a CRM, but I don't have time to find one or see something that works. I've got so many other things going on. And so I really want to start there and sort of work through leads and lead generation and how you keep track of all of that. So on the screen here, something you guys are very familiar with, QuickBooks Online. And inside of here, you can see I have a few transactions. It's a pretty new account. But what I've done is I've actually gone ahead and connected my QuickBooks Online account to my Method account. And my customer list, which was generally available here in QuickBooks, is now available in a CRM. And so this is what my customer list looks like from QuickBooks. Right up here at the top, we'll see Samuel Adams. He's an existing customer of ours with an open balance, so maybe not the best customer just yet. We'll see if he makes that payment shortly. But we can start to see a breakdown of Samuel's history right away. And why is this important? Why am I showing you information that is already available in QuickBooks? I think this solves the number one problem we as accounting firms or as customers are trying to solve is just how do we get started with a new piece of technology? And obviously the QuickBooks App Store is wonderful for that. And together with Method, you can really marry those two pieces of technology and have data going back and forth. Now, this becomes incredibly powerful because one, you're not spending time moving data from one system to another. You're not worried about duplicate data entry, and you can start to create a system that is truly centralized and really centralized against your financial backbone. So whether you're an accountant or you're advising one of your customers, you really don't want them to replace QuickBooks. You don't want any sort of transactions to occur outside of QuickBooks and then QuickBooks being an afterthought. You definitely want to have both systems working in tandem in real time. So we've now connected our account. And so what's available in the CRM out of the box? What can you use on day one without putting in a ton of effort or requiring a lot of work on your part? So inside of Method, you're able to modify, interact with your invoices, your estimates, just like you would inside of QuickBooks. We also have a couple of items here called activities and opportunities, and we'll step through them in a little bit. But something I love to showcase, the power of a CRM really starts on day one. And inside of Method, it's something we call our portal. If you're unfamiliar with our portal, I'll take you through it here. But it's basically the CRM starts working for you on day one. So what I've done here is I've taken Adam's portal and I've pasted it into a link here. And here's a location where Adam can begin to look at his customer information, download his transactions, make payments if he has to, and really, oops, there you go. And really, if he has to take any action for you or your business, he can do that here. So it looks like a live demo, something went wrong. So I'm going to take a look here behind the scenes and just make sure Adam's set up in just a moment. But what I've done is sent him a link where he can make a payment against his profile. And if you want any sort of payment options that are not available inside of QuickBooks Online, CRMs are incredibly powerful integrators in the sense of you can start to explore things like Stripe or Authorize.net to really automate some of those business tasks if you're not using Intuit payments, or if you're working with a client who doesn't necessarily want to work with Intuit payments right off the bat. So I've canceled that payment. We won't be getting paid today. But on the other side of things, when we talk about lead generation and email and inbox and how we manage our email, I'm actually having, or I have a Gmail example here open. So you can see my inbox. Inside of my inbox, I have 2 emails. It's a pretty light day for me here. I don't do much on Tuesdays. But I have my first email here from Ayushi, a typical client email just asking me for a meeting. So she says, "Hi, Nelson. The best emails are short emails, so let's be quick. Let's meet. Last year, we scheduled 4,000 appointments, and none of us ever showed up for any of them. Let's schedule another one." And what's interesting here, if you didn't notice, is on the right-hand side, we've had method open with a bunch of information about this client. So right over here on the right-hand side, we can see what accounting firm she works for, what's her email address, her phone number, and we can also begin to work through her history. So if we wanted to see any activities that we've done, we could actually go through all the activities that we've had with this particular customer and look through that, as well as any transactions. So to Liz's point earlier, when you're quoting to a customer, the customer sort of goes MIA for a few months. They come back and they ask about a quote. What's great is that with one email that I use, she sent over to me, I can actually see that estimate right here and the date it was sent to her. And if I was really interested in a breakdown of what that estimate looks like, I could jump right inside my method account and really get a breakdown of what that looks like. So I didn't have to go searching in Google Sheets, didn't even have to step into QuickBooks. Really, all I was doing was continuing to use my email the way I use it every day, and I've really enriched the entire customer service process. This isn't just for you. This could be any member of your team, and you can have that two-way information flowing.
I love what you're showing, and it also made me stop and think, it's really important to call out that we think of this as being for accounting firms because we're familiar with method, because we see you at our conferences, we've talked to you, we've had, lots of different interactions throughout the years, but this is also for other industries as well.
Yeah, that's right. So I think we here at Method, we service just about everyone. We have specialized solutions for accountants and accounting firms, proposals and engagement letter templates, but we also have a field service offering and a few other things that are available to service particular industries as well as customer needs. So I'm just going to go back here. I know it's a live demo, but I'm just going to fix something up because I think I made something hidden when I shouldn't have hit it. So I'm sorry about this, but I really want to showcase this to you guys. So one other thing I was going to show to you is just how do we handle those new clients that are coming in? And both Liz, you and Heather provided really good examples of using forms or emails. Some people still really just prefer sending emails to us directly. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into a second lead, and I've sent this over to myself. And on the right-hand side, once again, this time we couldn't enrich the data, which means this is typically a new lead, and I'm sending an email to myself, and I'm just asking myself to be added to the CRM. Now, inside of here, right away, we've got a few options. You can decide to create a new lead, a new customer. So this will be someone who goes over to QuickBooks or a few other options for vendors. For the purposes of this exercise, we're just going to create a simple lead. We're going to say it's from Nelson from Method, director, and we'll hit save. Now, the nice thing about this is that now we've created a profile inside of the CRM. So if anyone in our organization gets an email from Nelson and they open it up, they'll be able to see that this user already exists in the system. For those who are using the CRM on a daily basis, they could jump into the contacts list here. And if we just search for Nelson, fingers crossed, he shows up. Might need to refresh. But I should be here. And I'm not sure I am. So we'll have to see why that is. Let me switch over to a filter here. There we go. Let's see if Nelson pops up here. Oh, there he is. So Nelson from Method CRM listed under our active contacts. Now, what's great about it is that Nelson is listed as a lead. So before, where I showed you that we were using some of that QuickBooks information to enrich your data set, remember that you're not only working with leads, you might be working with repeat customers. In this case here, Nelson is not a customer of ours, but we can easily make him a customer. And so I'll take you through that as well. So Liz talked a little bit about the onboarding journey. So we'll have to get our customers to qualify, go through a few processes, and maybe accept an estimate along the way. So what we're going to do is we're just going to send over a simple estimate to Nelson. The example I have here are blueprints, and we'll set an amount of $200. And we'll hit save. Now at this point, we have a few options. We could decide to either email Nelson, or print the estimate, or send him a copy to his portal link where he could then see that estimate. Now, for the purposes of this exercise, we've now created a lead and an estimate, but none of this has actually gone to QuickBooks just yet. And this is where streamlining business processes is really important for both yourselves, but also your customers, where how does Nelson end up getting to QuickBooks? Or how do we get our leads to the finish line and start billing them for services? And so what Method does on our side is you have the ability to convert this lead into a customer, and with one smooth click of this box here, you can make a change. Now this message may look a little scary, but all you're doing is you're sending over this lead to QuickBooks. Oh, it looks like I used the colon in my name and QuickBooks doesn't like that, so we'll take that away there. Hit save and back. And what we should be able to do is then search for this customer inside of QuickBooks, and we should see this estimate also flow over. So I'm sending over both the customer and the estimate to QuickBooks.
I love this so much, Nelson, because as accounting professionals, I think all of you can agree with me that we like our lists clean and tidy in our QuickBooks data. And so this gives us the ability to keep leads out of QuickBooks until they actually become a customer. And that is something that is really sacred to us as accounting professionals. So I love that you guys have done that. Because it really, you get to be intentional about when that data actually goes over to QuickBooks. I do have a question. Does it
Sure.
work the same way with the vendor leads?
It does, yeah. So
Okay.
you can use, I know CRM is customer management system, but if you have someone who is constantly searching for bids amongst multiple vendors and they need to keep track of that, a CRM is also a VRM. It could be a vendor relationship management system. But what really matters is you're just centralizing all of those communications in one place. It's a great question. And we have worked with a number of wholesalers as well as construction companies that generally do send out requests for a service or projects where they'll have multiple vendors bid on services and want to keep track of all of that as well.
That's a great use case. Alexander was asking, do you guys have property management customers that use Method?
We do have property management customers who use Method, and we also have some pro advisors in the property management space as well. So if you're interested in connecting with someone, feel free to send us a message and we're happy to connect you with them and the types of solutions they offer to their clients if you're in the market to find something.
Very cool. You know, the other thing I'm going to say, and then I'll be quiet, is that I love the fact that you guys have made your integration so seamless with the applications that we're already used to using, because that increases the likelihood of long-term adoption of the application immensely. Whenever you are taking something new and it already plays really well with all of your existing processes, it just makes that implementation and adoption so much easier for companies. And you've done that with the Gmail plugin. And I think you said there's an Outlook plugin.
There is.
You know, with that deep integration with QuickBooks Online, and the fact that you guys are on Zapier and you can connect to other applications as well, it just makes it easy. It makes it, you know, it's pretty much plug and play, right? When I connect my QuickBooks data, everything goes into Method and I can start using it right away.
Yeah,
right?
you got it. Yeah, and it's incredibly what's important, and something I find when I'm coaching either pro advisors, accountants, or even small businesses is that when you're adopting new technology, you definitely want to bank on something that's familiar, right? Something that's familiar to you, but also to your business. So when you're introducing this new technology, you can feel comfortable being that trusted person, right? And so if that's you as a pro advisor or as an accountant or as a solution specialist, you want to go in there with the confidence. And we don't necessarily have the time as business advisors and as accountants to learn every single piece of software. And so having something that's incredibly familiar is beneficial for everyone, sorry. So my last recap here is you'll notice the estimate flowed in. It's all there. We can drill into it inside of QuickBooks. You can see that the blueprint came over. It was really fractions of a second. Now, it doesn't necessarily interrupt your flow. And so something that comes up quite a bit, and you in the chat could let me know if I'm lying to you or if this is just a red herring, but something we're always concerned about is just how is this going to impact my QuickBooks operations? Are there any concerns? How do I control the experience and why is that important? So the nice thing about having a CRM that integrates closely with QuickBooks, namely us in particular, is that you're able to really set up the safeguards, you know, the bumper rails. If you're familiar with bowling, you can really control the experience. So right here, I'm offering an unadulterated CRM experience where we have full access to everything. But depending on your needs of your firm or the needs of your employees, if you do just have a bookkeeper or an office admin who's taking calls and scheduling meetings, you can really begin to streamline what that experience looks like. Even if they're creating drafts of estimates and you want them to select only a few items, you don't necessarily want to give them access to the entire item list, you can really control that experience. So to bring it back full circle, I'd love to jump back in my email. And if we click on Nelson, once again, you can see on the right-hand side, we can now step into it and we can see that transaction we created that's now flowed both into QuickBooks, exists in our CRM, and we can now consult Nelson on the estimate that he was given.
I think that that's a really good place to go back to for a second.
Sorry.
It was amazing. That's why I'm saying more.
It's a Canadian thing. We apologize for everything. So it's just default settings.
Well, there's no apology needed. This is awesome. What we somebody had put in here, I think it was Janice, who was asking us, what about that email conversation? And you were just showing it over there in the sidebar, the back and forth of the activity, which is great because we need to be able to manage the life of that client. And part of it is just that onboarding and the leads and that conversation that took place.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question? Can you click back where you were just a second? I'm sorry, I'm doing a little bit of a squirrel thing. No, go back again. There was a button that said schedule. It was schedule. Go back one more. I'm trying to figure out where it was. It was like there on the sidebar there was a little button that said schedule appointment or something like that.
Let me see here. I'll just refresh it and see if it comes
Sure.
back up for us.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Maybe it was under new activity.
Under new activity? Yeah, let's see that.
Yeah, schedule
There you go.
follow-up right there. I love that. Like, so what does that do? Does that link with my Google Calendar?
So there's a few ways that it does connect. So first and foremost, to answer the question, sorry, I forgot who asked it, but what happens to this email? How does it get logged? So the way we handle that is a few ways. One, the email does get logged, but what we often do is recommend you create a summary. So you don't necessarily want to read through threads and threads of email. And I think that's a challenge that a lot of people have when first adopting a CRM. So you definitely want to just create new client onboarding email, something simple, to Liz's example. And what will happen is behind the scenes, the content of this email will be saved and you'll have a nice summary. So as you're working through that list, you'll be able to see that they got the onboarding email. And you can say it's an email that was exchanged. But Heather, to your point here, yeah, you can go in here, you can schedule a follow-up, and there are a few options. Depending on the type of follow-up, some will just be a notification, either to your email or to your phone. Others will appear in your Google Calendar as well. So depending on what your needs are, you can actually configure and set those up.
Okay, so I'm going to ask him questions because this is all really great. So the thing that you were just saying, you can schedule that follow-up, but there's templates in there. So can those templates, are they rolled out to the entire team?
Yeah, so you can definitely set up templates for the whole team. Depending on your needs, I mean, templates are good and bad. So depending on what your needs are, you can control what templates have already been sent out so you don't send out the same one again and go through that experience as well.
And then the other thing that you were talking about is the summary of that email. So does that mean this thread has the summary on it, or are you saying the individual emails? My question is if there's a new email thread, can I read or name that new email thread as a different summary?
Yeah, definitely. So it's the individual email within the thread. So what we'll do is you can just categorize the latest email and provide that summary. It'll actually retain the entire thread up until that point. So if you were interested in reading the entire email, you could go back and do that. The summary is just a pure touch point as to where that conversation started or maybe turned the other way.
Got it. Okay.
So one last thing is lead collection. And one thing I picked up in the chat is that we're getting leads from everywhere, whether it's Fiverr, which was interesting to hear Fiverr. God bless anyone who's doing $5 bookkeeping. You guys are doing a service to the world. But with Method, you can also design things like web forms. And here's an example of a quick form that I've designed for today. And really, you can centralize your entire business around what I showed you today. So whether it's designing a form that flows into your account where you can manage your leads and have that go into QuickBooks, you can do all of that in a single location. So you're not having to worry or run around and manage different data sets and then merge them together.
Hey, Heather, doesn't that look nice? It's an email template for us. So this is a nice form.
Simple. I mean, your needs are probably a little bit more robust, but I had a little fun there with the logo.
I love
Complements our color scheme really well. So
Yeah.
Gonna give us the keys so we can drive it?
I'll think about it.
Because we will. Yeah, I love it.
So that summarizes my demo. I don't know if there are any other outstanding questions, but definitely if you're interested, I'm happy to connect with anyone or just send us a message on chat and happy to have conversations offline.
I think that that's a really good thing. Heather, do we want to do the poll to make sure that
Thinking the same thing. I'm going to do it right now.
Of course we were.
So, I am launching it. Would you like someone from Method CRM to reach out to you? And if they say yes, I will have them do that. So,
and the thing that we were talking about early on is I wanted to make sure that when you were watching this demo, you were thinking about more than just your firm, that this can also be one of those things that you incorporate for your firm so that way you learn the ins and outs of it. But then also, if you've got clients that you help them with particular issues, this would be a really great tool to show them.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're ever worried about, is this a fit or not, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'll be pretty clear about whether or not it's a fit. We also have a number of pro advisors in the community with years of experience and implementation experience for all types of businesses. Some of them have gone so far as to design industry specific apps as well. So when you think about CRM, this is the great starting point, but what it could become and what it could grow to is really just powered by your imagination. So if you want your CRM to manage equipment for a particular customer, or if you have to service them every 2 weeks, you can start to design those workflows and really have a system that starts working for you versus you just having to gather all this information and constantly be typing it into one place or hiring a summer student to help you with that.
Well, and one of the things that Heather and I are always sharing is that, one of the things that we're missing sometimes as a small business is really good workflows. And when you're adopting an app, there's a built-in workflow to it. And then that way you don't have to rethink it. You just go through, and I can see the navigation bar over there. It's really clear to see, where do I want to go? What do I need to do? And then you can go through all of the actions that are in that workflow. And now you've got a process.
Definitely. Yeah, something I take for granted is, we've been around the QuickBooks space long enough. A lot of us started with desktop. I started with desktop, and we've slowly grown to online, and the system has evolved over the years. And I think we take for granted, like, QuickBooks is super, super easy, but we also know that sometimes clients are just not interested in the technology portion of it. They just want their business to run. And I think that's the same for any sort of technology, unless you're just scrolling through things. But the moment you have to explore and learn a little bit, the barrier of entry or the education just becomes so much more important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, so Heather, it looks like you got the poll down. So I'm going to definitely encourage our peers to reach out. So that way you too can have, from end to end, a really good workflow.
We've got some really great specials coming up too, which I'm excited to share with the folks on our call as well. So
I'm going to ask Nelson if you want to let me share my screen again. And then Heather, were you referring to Happy Hour Future? Is that episodes? Is that what you're talking about?
No. I was talking about the specials for Method.
Oh, yeah.
For people that have watched today's episode, that there's a couple of opportunities for them to try Method and just go connect their QuickBooks companies and start using it to see if it's something that's right for them. So I feel like that's something definitely I'd love to share. So stick around, because we're going to have that slide up in a little bit.
Absolutely. Yep. And so this is the segment where Heather and we share things that we have seen come through over the course of the last couple of weeks, or there's apps that we've utilized and we want to make sure that everybody knows about. But this is really exciting news to those of you who are like Heather and I, who focus your firm on inside of a QuickBooks ecosystem. So
there's QuickBooks. It's the coolest thing. It's
yeah. And they have like some really cool news that is exciting to share.
Cool news. It's very exciting news.
I agree with you. And so I hit the advanced button to see if it advances. There we go. So starting in March, we're going to see a rollout where anybody who is utilizing the Your Books area will be upgraded to QuickBooks Online Advanced.
I'm so excited for this.
Me too. So previously we've, and even currently, we all have QuickBooks Online Plus, and we've been hearing about these features that are inside of Advanced, and now we get a chance to use them for our own firms.
And it will be free.
Yep. So it's one of those benefits that you get for being part of that Pro Advisor program. So if you sign up for being a QuickBooks Pro Advisor, then you're going to get the Your Books section for free, and it will soon be QuickBooks Online Advanced, which is, enterprise equivalent. And
yeah, you have a slide for the major features, right?
I do.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. So inside of advanced, you have some additional features. You've got these custom fields, and you can go in and there's 48 different custom fields. You can do things that are specific to customers. You can do things that are specific to transactions. So you can go through and group data in different ways. And then you also have some other cool things. So the custom chart builder, that's really cool to be able to build those KPIs. And then you can actually compare charts that you build from various periods. So being able to track some performance, seeing how you do, that really is going to be, I think it's going to be really cool. I can't wait to see that feature.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited about the custom roles expansion. So that's something that, you know, with a firm with multiple team members, being able to give them access to certain areas of QuickBooks in your books is going to be really handy. So I'm excited about that. And then of course the batch transactions and the tasks are cool. For sure. I don't think I'll be using much of the batch transactions. I love that for like when you're using a third-party app for, you know, recording sales or expense transactions. But
I've got some clients that utilize it for, one of them does it for entering in expenses. And so they have a whole bunch of expenses that happen for a particular group. And so they enter it in that way. And then also I've got a client that do some weird stuff for invoicing. And so they're oil and gas related industry.
cool.
But,
Very
yeah,
cool.
so they do use those batch transactions, but I agree with you. I'm not sure that in our firms that we'll use that particular piece much.
But we'll be able to try them out.
Yes.
Do you know if that includes the backup service?
Oh, yes. You
That's
know,
cool.
absolutely. So what Heather's talking about is ChronoBooks. So whenever you're subscribed to QuickBooks Online Advanced, you automatically get ChronoBooks. But we were talking about today, there was a couple of things that we weren't sure yet. So I don't know if you know about it, you can throw it in the chat, but ChronoBooks, can we back up your books area with ChronoBooks? And I don't know the answer to that. The other thing we were talking about today was Fathom.
It was interesting because I was training a client yesterday, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but it's on the same subject. I was with a client yesterday and I was showing them the QuickBooks app for Windows and Mac.
Yeah.
And there was actually in the drop-down menu, there was a backup option. And I was like, what is that? And I mean, it's for the advanced companies, I think, but when you click on it, it actually brings you out to the Apps Center where you can purchase it. But I think they've rebranded it as Intuit Backups. I think it's like QuickBooks Backups or something.
Well, so I have a couple of clients that are using that now because they're advanced users and it's free. So why not use it? And it's working really, really great for them. But, you know, one of the other questions that you had today was about Fathom. So I went out and I was Googling it, and there is a resource link that says that whenever the Your Books is rolled out with the advanced version, that we're getting all features.
That's amazing.
It's like, I'm not really sure exactly what's included in all features, if those two things that we just mentioned are, or if they are considered an add-on. I don't know. It'll be fascinating to find out. But you can go and do training. So I've got this slide up here to say, if you're a pro advisor, you can go over into your dashboard, move over to training, and there's actually a specialty course. And it will take you through all of the QuickBooks Online Advanced features.
Now, Liz, is this different from the webinar series, the 3-part webinar series that they give on qbtrainingevents.com?
So this is just the self-paced version of it. There's also inside that same area, you can pick which one do I want to do, the self-paced or the webinar. So,
cool.
But yeah, that's a good call out. There's different ways to be able to digest this information. And, I love doing the webinars and seeing everybody there. So it's good.
Awesome. And then George just called out that if you're not using QuickBooks Online Advanced, there's Rewind, which is actually what I use for every client that's in either of my companies is connected to Rewind for backup. So good call out, George. Right there with you.
So this is the special that you were talking about.
Yeah.
So Nelson, do you want to share the special with all of our viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. So before I do that, I just want to do a shout out to Courtney Forrest, who had faith in me throughout the demo as things went a little bit haywire. She sent me her positive energy, and that went well. But yeah, for those of you who are not currently in our partner program, I do encourage you to sign up. It's absolutely free if you are a pro advisor, and you do get access to a free method account together with your certification. And with that, you get a dedicated account manager who you can use both for yourself, but also for supporting your clients if you need any help with that.
And you're exactly right. Our brands look really nice together.
They do.
Yeah,
The
very
complementary
similar.
colors, I love it.
They
Blue's
are.
my favorite.
Yeah.
It's such a, I just have to tell you that, as an accounting professional, you wouldn't think that we get asked by our clients about CRMs, but we do, like, all the time. I have clients asking me all the time. I actually just had somebody, one of my clients, I referred to Method. We were talking about that last week, and they're thrilled with it. So, it really is a great, and I love the fact we didn't dig into it in this webinar, but we're going to dig into it, is all the customization options. Like you said, like, the sky is the limit. And if you can dream it, you can do it in Method. Like, it's kind of crazy. And they have a very, very, well-trained and awesome, nice, kind people team that will help you do it, which is pretty cool.
That is really cool.
Really cool.
I agree. So we're
Cool.
appreciative of having them on. And all of you that have joined us today, I want to say thank you for being with us. You can go find more episodes like this one. You can go over to our YouTube. You can go and see the drink specials that we have that are listed directly on our website. So make sure to check out the website, look at past sponsors that have come on the show and talked about some of their features. And then also you can see Method there is listed as well. And you can even get the drink recipe. So
You
today
can.
was truly
Yeah.
delicious.
It was.
And then coming up, we're going to have Relay on the show next. And so they're going to be talking about business banking and how to make that easy and maybe even fun. I don't know. So we have some cool.
I'm sure it's going to be fun. Happy hour is always fun.
Agreed. So we just want to say thank you. Thank you to everybody for joining us.
Guys, have an awesome rest of your Taco Tuesday. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you,
Guys, thanks so much.
All right,
Thanks for having me.
guys.